Welcome back to AM 2010 EPR. This morning we're privileged to have a special guest. Jonathan Burnett, a student at USU, is here in the studio to discuss his recent paper with us. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, your paper is on parent involvement in education. What made you interested in this subject?
Well, my own parents. I think that every kid out there is who they are because of what their parents did. As a young child, my parents were heavily involved in my education, and as a result, I turned out pretty well. I wanted to share this success with other students.
Now, in your paper, you mentioned several of these instances from your childhood. You were taught how to read before preschool, moved up a grade in kindergarten, and would even listen to NPR with your mother as a teenager. Now, these are wonderful stories, but a bit unique, don't you think? I mean, I know personally I never had anything like this happen to me.
Exactly. That's why I decided to write this paper. Because I skipped a grade so young, I've always been the smart kid. From the outside, I look different and like a unique case, but yet I feel completely normal. To me, it is normal to discuss intellectual ideas with my parents, but the instant I tell anyone that I discuss physics with my mother, they automatically say to themselves, "Well, I could never do that. I barely talk to my parents about anything, let alone science or history or English."
Understandably so, though.
Yes, but the problem is that it's not impossible, just different. It's like if you didn't grow up watching a sport and then tried to watch that sport when you're older with someone who's watched it their whole lives. You won't ever be able to keep up. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to discuss it, or the other person is a unique case which couldn't be applied to everyone. You just haven't been trained to appreciate the sport. The same is true with intellectual concepts. That's why parents are key to getting kids not only excited about educating themselves, but getting them to enjoy education as well.
Okay, so where do you suggest parents start then?
Well, in my paper, I quote President Obama about this subject. He's talked a lot about it, and I think that he and I agree on a lot of things. Could we pull up the clip of him?
Certainly.
All that's worth fighting for, but I always tell parents, if we don't parent, if we don't turn off the television set, if we don't put aside the video games, if people don't understand that kids in China and kids in India are outworking us and studying math and science in a way that our kids are not doing, if parents aren't instilling a sense of educational excellence, we're going to fall behind.
If parents want to really be involved in their child's education, they need to do more than just show up to parent-teacher conferences. They need to set the example with their child by not watching so much TV themselves, and instead help out their child with their schoolwork or whatever they're learning. They need to show respect for those ideas and discuss interesting topics with their children. If a parent thinks that something is interesting, then the child will think it's interesting. A parent can convince a child that education isn't boring. It just takes time and example.
I'm sorry, but we're out of time. Thank you for joining us.
It was my pleasure.